Well, thanks, Michael, for the question. And, I have personal experience with having this administration try to stop you from having oversight. But I think we've seen since the Trump has been sworn into office and this administration has come into our lives that they have literally at every step of the way tried to stop members of Congress from conducting oversight visits at detention centers. Just about a week and a half ago, another judge ruled again that, members can have the right to show up to a detention center unannounced and conduct their oversight, duties. And so that's why I wanted to introduce this bill along with two of my colleagues from New Jersey, both Rob Menendez and Bonnie Watson Coleman, the No Delay Act, which basically just codifies that we have the right to inspect a detention facility and we cannot be delayed. You cannot hold us up or you can't create a situation that, denies us access to these facilities.
There's a letter from inside one of those ICE facilities, Delaney Hall, which is the site that you are speaking about, and it's signed by 300 apparent detainees. This is what they write. We are being tortured physically and psychologically due to the poor food resources provided in these detention centers. We see with deep helplessness and frustration that our due process, rights, and defense have been violated, disregarding benefits granted under the 4th, 5th, and 6th Amendments of the United States Constitution. And this is part of a very lengthy statement that DHS released to MS Now. This is what they had to say. No lawbreakers in the history of human civilization have been treated better than illegal aliens in the United States. Ensuring the safety, security, and well-being of individuals in our custody is a top priority of ICE. They emphasize detainee access to medical care and meals before encouraging undocumented immigrants to self-deport, saying, quote, and this is what I want your response to, being in detention is a choice.
Just awful, an awful statement. First of all, I want to give those folks who had enough courage to basically report this, what they're going through, their experience there, because it's real. Like, I've gone there, I've spoken to numerous detainees there, and it's true. Like, I see it with my own eyes, lack of food, lack of medical care. I mean, literally, I had a resident who died there in less than 24 hours from a medical emergency when they were a healthy individual that went in there. And so literally, it's just awful. And that those folks are literally being targeted right now. Like, they've been mistreated. Mills are being held up because of them relinquishing this kind of information. But it's what we have been saying since last May. That's why we showed up there in the first place, to go and inspect this place that people reported these things were happening. And since then, nothing has changed. That's why we had detainees escape, broke down a wall and left there because they weren't receiving food. That's why we had this unfortunate situation of this, Haitian immigrant dying there. But once again, not a shocker, something we've been alarming people about and been demanding answers from DHS about the conditions of not just this detention center, but many across the country.
Before my next question, we should mention that Congressman Menendez, the co-sponsor of the bill you mentioned up front, is Alicia's brother. So I just want to get that out of the way. But Congressman, I want to ask you something. Congratulations. You are pregnant. You had an announcement in People magazine. I want to read it. It says, quote, I don't want to be remembered just as LaMonica McIver, the Congresswoman. I want to be remembered as LaMonica McIver, the mother of 2 beautiful children at home, a good mother, a good wife, a good daughter, and a good sister. Now, why is that important? Because right now, you are facing the prospect of 17 years in prison because of your attempt to go into one of these facilities to check on the conditions of those who are being held by this administration. I want to ask you something. What does it feel like that, one, you are going to have to pay for your defense in this case because you're not allowed to accept pro bono because of the House ethics rules? This could be legal fees up to $1 million. But what does it feel like that as a sitting member of Congress, this administration seems more fit to go after you than the ICE officer that killed Renee Good?
It's disappointing, and it's a shocker still, to be honest with you. I can't believe, as an elected official, this isn't my first post as an elected official in New Jersey, to be going through this. I never thought, being charged by the federal government would be on my vision board. That wasn't something I planned for, and truly it's unbelievable to be going through it even a year later. I'm constantly raising dollars for my defense, constantly having to battle, tactics that are being used against me from my Republican colleagues and constantly fighting back, but still showing up to do the job, at the end of the day, because that's what I signed up to do. And so it's very frustrating, but it's also disheartening to see that this is happening from our executive level. I never thought a government would be able to operate like this, and never thought I would be in a situation like this for just showing up to do my job.
Congresswoman, we've got a little less than a minute left, but I just want to say congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Number one. And number two, to Luke's point about the personal toll that this is having, the fact that you have the financial obligation to try to, defend yourself against these baseless charges and the craziness of the Trump administration coming after you. There are those out there who do want to help and have been trying to help. Marie Claire and the Congresswoman's PAC have put together this effort to, quote, support stretched from the House floor on Capitol Hill to a federal courtroom in Newark to group chats that never went dark. It needed to, because the Democratic establishment, as MacGyver would learn the hard way, had no playbook for a fight like this. So the women built one themselves with the understanding that one of them could be next. Talk about that kind of support coming for you.
Thank you so much for that, Michael. First of all, I'm super grateful to these women, the Congresswomen's PAC. I mean, I'm definitely just in debt of gratitude to them. They've been extremely helpful in helping me raise dollars, being there to support me, praying for me, checking in on me. And, I wish I had more support, honestly. And people can join me in that support, join me in this fight as we continue to fight for our democracy and for what we know our country is better than. And so, look, follow us, check me out, LaMonicaForCongress.com all the time to join us in the fight. But at the end of the day, just grateful for the support that I'm getting from that group of women and many others who have really pitched in and helped me in this fight.